Hi, Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dog, and I am excited. No, I'm always excited. But this week, this lady, we've been trying to get her on the show forever and ever and ever. DeHaven Chevrolet, Fort Wayne, Indiana, Jane DeHaven, and her daughter, Lizzy. Hi, guys.
Hi.
We're going to get to your story and all your struggles a little bit later. But first of all, I want to introduce one of the most brilliant women in the car business. The executive, what is your title now?
Empress of Executive Management is the title.
Okay, the Empress of Executive Management. Which is Miss Jennifer Briggs. Hi, kid.
Hey, Jim, which is just code for everybody watching for that ridiculously detail-oriented geeky lady that is addicted to processes.
Fantastic. Now, the intergalactic queen of the BDC is it Women's in Automotive?
Yeah.
And the Duchess of Productivity, Miss April Simmons, is at a 20 group meeting.
20 group, yeah.
And the Curmudgeon, the mad Russian, direct from Moscow, Russia. The sleeper cell himself, Max Zanan. Hi, big guy.
Hey, Jim, it's good to be back. I missed the last week's show.
Oh, well, what the heck? We didn't miss you.
I know that.
No, actually, we did. I mean, we had April and Bobbie on the show with no insults.
Yeah, and I was, my tonsils were swollen, so I was gone too. So
fantastic.
I'll make it up to you today.
Thank you. Jane DeHaven.
Yes.
Okay, the story online starts out, I think, in 2008.
Correct.
2008. What happened to you?
Well, in 2008, Lizzy's father, my husband, we lost him on April 29th, which was not fun, of course. And I had never worked at this dealership. In fact, I didn't really step foot in it much. I do remember one time Jack brought a venture van home for me as a demo, and I rejected it. You know that song, "I'm too sexy for this car." That's what I sang to him. And to this day, I feel guilty about that. Now that I've been in this seat and I'm a dealer, I should never have done that. That was really bad of me. In any event, Lizzy was 15 years old. That was the most important part of the tragedy.
She looks like she's still 15.
Oh, sorry, you cut out. What did you say?
I say you still look like you're still 15.
I know, doesn't she? She gets carded all the time. And if I'm with her on occasion and I have a hat on, so do I. In any event, that was the most important piece, is that I had a 15-year-old that I was raising by myself. So forget the dealership. She was the most important piece.
So all of a sudden, was it all of a sudden? Did he pass away unexpectedly? Did you have any warning?
There was some warning. He struggled with addiction, and he'd had a lot of sober years though prior to his final, I guess what you would call, relapse.
Oh, I hate to hear that, but as it turns out, all of a sudden you're a dealer.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, I tell you, it was interesting because initially I wasn't recognized as somebody who could be a dealer. So I was the owner of this dealer.
You don't look like you could be a dealer.
I don't. I bet people all the time, I will give you $1 million if you can guess what I do. And not one person has ever said a car dealer, not one.
If I bumped into you in the mall or something, I'd say, hey, that woman needs to be home baking cookies or something.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought my dad wasted a ton of money on my college education because I said I will never work, and I certainly will never work in business. But here I am. And in any event, it was tough. It was if you remember, 2008, what happened? The financial markets collapsed. That really didn't faze me. I'm sure a lot of people will remember that. It's a blur to me. I had to realize that a few years later, that the financial markets collapsed in 2008, and I was dealing with all this. I was so in the weeds that I think I missed the financial collapse. But what I do recall is almost a year to the date later in 2009, General Motors filed bankruptcy.
So here you got a brand new dealership, and the bad news is we're bankrupt.
Yes, and they were sending out those letters, and if I recall, they some of it I've blocked out. I'm not kidding. It was intense. They sent these letters saying we're going to wind down so many stores. Nobody really knew what was going on. Were you safe? Were you not safe? And I recall getting a notice that if you're going to be wound down, you will receive your letter from FedEx. This was our bonding moment with the sales force and Jane DeHaven, who, remember, rejected the venture van. So I don't think they thought I was all that great. So we're all in the showroom waiting, watching every FedEx car go by our dealership. And every time one would go by, I think my chest definitely tightened, and everyone else's did too. I mean, we were a vulnerable dealership at that point. I had no history with GM. I hadn't built a case to be anybody great. But we made it through. So once noon rolled around and we figured the 10 a.m. piece was long since gone, we had a 2-hour buffer in there. We all started cheering and crying.
Jennifer, what
Jane.
questions would you have?
Oh, John.
Well, I love that you shared that you just didn't even notice the financial crisis, and that's not surprising. I lost my father in a very similar way, and I think everything just kind of stops and you just focus on what's right in front of you, and that's a lot in taking over a business. So in stepping into that, I am really curious just how you attacked each day as you went in there. You had never been in a part of running the store before.
No, I did introduce myself to many of the employees. I didn't even bring my car in for oil changes. Jack did it. No, I think one day at a time is how I approach everything. Deal with whatever the biggest crisis is of the moment, shove it aside, and move on to the next piece. I think, wow, it was really crazy. I had never seen so many acronyms in all of my life, and I didn't know what any of them stood for. Logins were a big deal. I was like, I remember thinking, have they given me all the logins, or do I? And then I would get into these various, vendors and General Motors Global and whatnot. And wow, I mean, what a mystery that was. And if you recall and go back, that 2008 was also a digital revolutionary time too. And a lot of people don't realize that unless you were going through something like I was. So I can remember being in more than one place at one time with a digital laptop. I could just log in, and I thought that was the coolest deal. If I needed a Starbucks, I would just take my laptop and my General Motors Global and go get a Starbucks.
And of course, now Lizzy was helping you, right?
Oh my God, she was teenager extraordinaire. I mean, she's an only child that fits the description as an oldest, a youngest, and a middle, all wrapped into one kid. And she was just 15 when this was going on. Lizzy, you can speak to that.
Yeah. I mean, that whole time, like you said, I mean, it was kind of a blur. It was just, we would just, kind of go day by day. But what stuck out to me the most during that time, I feel like when a lot of people lose, a parent or like a spouse, a lot of times, like for the child, they see their parent that's still alive, like really like struggling and upset and all of this stuff. But she was like, I think what really got us to, kind of where we are and like we're so close now is I never saw her crumble ever. She was so strong and just almost like gave me the confidence just to, do life. Like she made it seem like there was nothing like nothing wrong, like everything was gonna be okay, which
Apparently
is
I
gonna
have
be-
a great poker face.
yeah. Yeah, it's
You
incredible.
you guys are so happy.
Oh, we always have been. I mean,
You guys should follow us on our social media. We're pretty silly on there.
yeah, we are pretty silly on there. We're having a really good time. Lizzy just came back to Fort Wayne in January and started at the dealership in January. She graduated from IU and Indiana
Oh yeah, I
University.
followed her on Facebook.
Oh, you did? So you know she was in
I
Dallas.
went from waiting tables all the way back to the dealership.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Hostess with the mostest.
Hostess with the most. That's still on there.
Well, I think it is. I don't know how to get it off. I'm always gonna be hostess with the mostest.
That's a tip too. I'll tell you, if I had to give any parent advice for their kids, I think I worked in the restaurant business during my college years and in high school, and so did Lizzy. In fact, when Jack died, that was something we had to do. He died in April. She finished her freshman year of high school, and I thought, well, she has to have a job. I'm sorry, she's only 15, but she's going to have to get a job. Luckily, my sister and brother-in-law owned the greatest restaurant in Fort Wayne called Cat of Blue, and Lizzy worked there. I would literally drop her off. She didn't have a license yet. And then head over here, and she would stay there for the most of the day. And it felt safe to me that she was there until
That's awesome. I think that I always tell people that in my trainings. I think if you can be successful waiting tables, you can be successful at anything, because it's so fast paced. You have to adapt. You have to think on your feet, and I think it is a really great foundation. That's cool.
It's management, dealing with various personalities. It's everything we do in the car business.
Oh yeah,
Max, I
have so many questions.
Jump out here, Max.
Well, first, I was in retail in 2008, and the date September 15th is etched in my memory forever, because that's when Lehman Brothers filed bankruptcy, and that's what triggered the financial crisis, right? And I remember sitting in a showroom, and people just stopped coming, and banks stopped buying. It didn't matter if you had an 800 credit score or 900 credit score. There was no money to lend. So not only that you lost your husband and your dad, how do you not notice the fact that there are no customers walking in the door? How do you survive this? Did you have like a good general manager that
we did
for a while?
We did. And I will tell you this, luckily I was involved in my family business, which was packaging, corrugated packaging. And we sold that business in 2014 because my dad was diagnosed with lung cancer. And so for quite a few years, I was doing both jobs. That's why I would take the laptop and go to Starbucks and hide in I was this little person in the corner, answering all sorts of things. Corrugated packaging is an economic indicator. And it was the first time in that business that I noticed Weaver Popcorn was a big customer of ours, Allison Transmission, Vera Bradley, big customers. All of them at once stopped ordering packaging. And especially when it was the Weaver Popcorn caught my attention. So to our general manager, I said, cut the inventory, accept nothing at this point. I'm telling you, it's going to be a disaster. And that would have been right after Jack died, early summer. And I think they looked at me, they for whatever reason, they listened to me. So we didn't have a crazy amount of inventory when that hit. It's probably a wink from God, that it was more of an epiphany. I was lucky. I had a lot of lucky stories like that.
Well, I would like to just say that sounds like skill, not luck.
Right.
That sounds like you are in tune with market conditions and you recognized it from the packaging company and made adjustments. That's not luck. That's a great operator. Sorry, we're real big at taking credit.
Oh, good. Thank you. That's pretty nice.
Jane, I've got to ask you, all of a sudden everybody's trucking along in the dealership, and all of a sudden our dealer is a girl. And, being facetious, but
This
All
was
of a
before
sudden-
the year of the girl. Like
Yeah.
this was the year of the girl. Taylor Swift and Caitlin Clark, I would have fit right in. Back then, it was whoa.
the year of the girl. Okay, I can buy that, but all of a sudden you're running a dealership, and they had to know that you didn't know. How were you accepted?
How did I accept that they knew?
No, how were you accepted?
How were
Oh.
you accepted?
You know, I'm just nice, I think. And I think part of leadership is getting your compadres, your managers to buy in. And I had the ability to really fake being intelligent. And I researched a lot of stuff.
Max does that.
I think in some ways they were relieved to have me here because if I know several other car dealerships where the dealer was lost to death and those dealerships are no longer here. I think I did represent, hey, we're going to keep our jobs. She's here. And I think that was step one. And then I just asked a lot of questions and in a, not a demanding way, but an show me way, and said thank you every single time to every manager who showed me. And I showed thank you with Starbucks gift cards or dinner gift cards, or thank you for helping me this week. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to get through this together. It was always our theme. And I think that's what I remember the most. And it's hard to remember how naive I was, but I'm sure I said some of the dumbest things ever, that really revealed how clueless I was in this business. And there aren't very many women in this business. And at that time, there weren't many to reach out to. And there wasn't a group like I have now. I have a 20 group. I'm a part of GMW1, which was the first General Motors women's 20 group ever. They are my best friends. And we have become an awesome nucleus of women. Are you familiar with that group?
Well, I am. I was about to say that year, I think, was probably 5 years before even the General Motors Women Owner Network program came out.
Yeah, the WRN.
Yeah,
absolutely. It was. It was very isolating. I didn't know another female in the business. There wasn't anybody to reach out to. I immediately connected with our General Motors rep and thought this is somebody I need to be close to. And I think that was helpful because the General Motors reps, a lot of them are young and they're kind of learning with you. And so we would constantly say, let's just call General Motors and find out what's wrong with this. How do we get here? How do we get there? And then I'll tell you, Lizzy, she graduated from high school in 2011, headed off to IU, and I headed the NADA Academy, and I was the oldest one in the class. But it was the lucky thing. A lot of them were young like Lizzy, and they were like little sounding boards. And I say, do you think it's okay that Lizzy's doing this in college? Or what do you And I have all these little buddies, and they're still my friends today.
Lizzy, now you're running the BDC, I understand.
So for the most part, my job is to come up with all of our social media while, yes, whenever people reach out to me about, let's say, even like philanthropy stuff and whatnot, I respond. But also, like, I'm just learning so much, just like she said in the beginning, all the acronyms. I'm like, so I sit in on all of the manager meetings, and like her, every single time I have a question on what is this? That is, but I have learned so much just since January. It is.
I have a glossary. I'm gonna send it to you.
Oh my gosh, please
Of the
do.
acronyms.
Oh my God, I would love that.
I mean, there's a new one every day.
Oh yeah. There's probably so many more, but at least you'll have half of them.
Yeah,
and Lizzy's gonna head to NADA Academy after she's worked here a full year.
Yeah, they recommend working in the dealership for a year and then going to start the academy.
She'll be more age appropriate than I was.
Well, I'm lucky that I have you to,
I might join in on a couple classes. I like Tyson's, Virginia.
Oh golly. What was the biggest challenge you faced since you've become a dealer? What what did you think was insurmountable? What was the big breakthrough for you?
Well, the beginning, it just felt overwhelming. Every dealer in town and in the surrounding areas called me and asked me if I wanted to sell. Of course, it was the absolute worst time to sell. I am no dummy there. I knew that wasn't a choice. I didn't have a choice, I can tell you that. And so when you don't have a choice, you're led down the right path. And the right path was to learn the business. So I think the biggest hurdle was realizing that I needed to do this, and not pout about it. Start right now, learning as much as I can every day. And that's exactly what I did. But the biggest hurdle was just the vulnerability, I think. And to have our dealership appear so vulnerable to the competitors.
Are you the number one dealer in the market now?
We're number two. We're on our way to number one. We're climbing.
Okay, you got them right in that crosshair.
Goal is number one in the state, not in just this district.
Oh my gosh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Oh golly, Max, I know you're jumping up and down. What do you want to say?
So most dealers struggle with the fixed ups, right? Because most of them come up through sales.
Right.
And in your case, you didn't even come up through sales, right? You just landed there. So did you have to learn sales first and fixed ups next, or the other way around?
Now, you've heard the term jack of all trades, Jane of all trades. I had to learn them all. I mean, obviously, they all go together. And the first thing I learned is that they have to work with one another. That was another vulnerable moment that, sales they would come to me, oh, our reconditioning costs are too high. And, service, oh, they're shoving these cars, and you're realizing, oh, this, that was number one lesson to learn. But I would say that I, each and every year, dive more and more into fixed ops. I like the fixed ops. I think we're over 70% absorbed, which is pretty good for a Chevy dealer.
Yeah.
So now, are you actually working deals yourself? I mean, I'm trying to picture.
Oh no, they keep me out of deals. I would give the cars away. It'd be free. Jane is not allowed in the deals. Period.
You're not allowed in the deal. Okay, I know dealers like that. I knew many dealers that get away from the desk.
Yeah, I'm not allowed near the desk.
How about you, Lizzy? Are you setting your sights on being a dealer someday? What's going on with you?
Yes, well, that's the plan. That's why, half of the reason why I moved back to Dallas, working here and learning after my mom, and also the lake house, because then that's my favorite place in the world and that's close to here. But yes, and I'm just glad that she's going to be here for quite some time more. And so I can, just learn the ropes from her. Because, if I just had to jump in right now, that would be stressful. So I give you props.
I don't plan on retiring anytime soon.
I hope not.
I'm one of those people who is in denial of my age. So retirement age isn't going to happen.
Oh, no. Retirement's for people that hate what they do.
I know, right? People talk about this, I'm like, well, I don't really plan to retire ever.
My plan personally is to die on stage in front of a cheering audience.
Oh, that would be cool.
I'm just gonna grab my heart and people are gonna say, "There goes Jim." So,
I'm having a palpitation for Miss W right now. I'm curious, with the 12 months, Lizzy, that you're planning on taking to work in the store before you go to NADA Academy, do you have a plan of attack? Are you going to spend a quarter working in this area, a quarter in that area? Or are you just going to try to do little pieces at a time? Or did you kind of put a plan together?
So what they do, what I've heard at the academy is that you go and you learn about, the service department, and then you go back and work in the service department for a week or something. And then the next time you go back and, learn about the parts department, and then work there. So I think I'm just going to do that next year
the NADA Academy more or less drags you through the garden. You have to go in their order. and you actually do work in each department for about 4 or 5 weeks. Then you're at the academy for a week, and then you come back and you do the next one. And by the time you're through, you have learned a lot about each department.
But I have been sitting in, like, whenever we do usually once every couple of weeks, we'll have big meetings with our, like the parts managers and all that stuff. And I do sit on that. So I have been
Getting
learning.
a little sneak peek.
Yeah.
In the service
I'm just
department,
sprinkling myself everywhere, getting a little feel.
2 tenths, you know what it means.
2 tenths, yeah. But yeah. First we were like, what?
Took me a while to get the 2 tenths, 3 tenths. Yeah.
So
I learned that at the 20 group from our new.
So I am absolutely intrigued with your story. It just, if you have no knowledge of a car dealership whatsoever, you haven't paid attention to the business. All of a sudden, you're running a dealership. What was the biggest catastrophe that happened during that time, besides the passing of your husband?
The biggest catastrophe?
What did you really mess up?
Oh, wow. I don't know that I ever, if I make a mistake, I just fix it. I don't know that I ever just let it lie, or admit to it. I mean, I always think you just constantly pivot. That's why I thought COVID was no big deal right from day one. I was like, oh, pivot again? And let's just pivot again. But the biggest,
you missed it. COVID wasn't a big deal, but 2008 was a monster.
It was a monster, right? And I was numb then, so I missed it. I would say that the biggest, the most worrisome time was when General Motors was filing for bankruptcy, and the financial markets were so unstable. And our floor plan bank came to me the day before General Motors. It was either the day before or 2 days before. It's a little foggy in my memory, but it's there. And said, we're cutting off your floor plan because we want to protect you so that General Motors doesn't dump inventory on you. Again, we were at Starbucks. You can tell I like Starbucks. Meeting with my banker. I tell you, this little person, I flipped the table. I said, no, you will not do that. You will not do that. And by God, they did not. I said, you will not shut my credit off right before they make these big decisions. I said, our credit is golden. I haven't taken a salary since I've started owning this place. I said, you will not do that. And that was the biggest, it's probably the moment I became a dealer. Like, I'm not putting up with this, from anybody. And that was scary. I remember thinking after the table was upside down, ew, I hope this ends well.
Love that. That's awesome.
Be scared of Jane DeHaven.
Yeah. I guess if you hit the wrong button.
I didn't even know it got that rough in Fort Wayne.
Fort Wayne, Indiana. I know your introduction reminded me of Animal House, Fawn Leibowitz from Fort Wayne, Indiana.
You just came back from Indianapolis, didn't you, Jennifer?
Yeah, well, I spent 4 years down in Indianapolis working with the Tom Wood group down there. So, yeah, been back up in Michigan for about a year now. So
that's a great group, Tom Wood.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful group, nice family. Had known one of the directors of operations for years. I was speaking at a digital dealer, and they had just lost their marketing director, and they had come up, and we had like a 6-hour lunch with tons of questions. And I do that all the time at conferences and don't ever think anything of it. And then fast forward, every conference, you'd be like, hey, can I go to the sessions with you? And can I follow you around? And then years later, as some things were transitioning for me, my oldest is a huge basketball player. So they were like, come on, Indiana's the basketball state. You want to bring it down here? It helps that he's a 6'5" redheaded boy. And all of the people were like, oh, another Larry Bird.
Yeah. Wait, is he in college? Is he playing?
He is not playing in college. No, he unfortunately, because he played varsity from such a young age, his knees are shot.
Oh, sure.
So he was like, Mom, I don't want to have cadaver knees. I don't want to have a knee replacement before I'm 20. And I'm like, dude, it's your body. So you can do it. So, but yeah, we did. We spent 4 years in Indiana. It was only originally a 3-year contract with Tom Wood, but of course, with everything going on, and we had projects left, so it became 4. But
Yeah, everybody's been to Indiana. I mean, for heaven's sake, Max, have you been to Indiana?
I have not. I have not.
you've never,
Because I work with Courtney Cox.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Great.
her dad brought her to my seminar when she was 17.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, she went to, and all her employees came to my seminars, and I worked with Blossom Chevrolet back in before that. So I've done a lot of work in Indiana. So
Courtney was a great gal.
Yeah, and I think in COVID too, Indiana, because I mean we were vital and essential. So it was crazy because I of course work with dealerships all over the country, but everyone was talking about how showroom traffic was down and everything was shut down. I was like, we got even busier in the showrooms.
I know the big challenge was keeping the sales guys away from one another. It's like, don't let the customers like sharing food, please.
Now, Lizzy, you were 15?
Yes.
15. So these are your golden high school years. And did you feel cheated? Did you feel like the world was ganging up on you? What happened to you?
Honestly, not at all. Back to what I was saying about my mom just, trudging through and just like exerting so much confidence. I think that's obviously she always, has always given me confidence. That I just she made it seem like there was no other option than just to prevail and keep going. And no, honestly, yeah, obviously there was times, like at school and
Weren't
stuff.
there any of those moments where I hate you?
With my yeah, probably when I was 17 or 18. That was probably the only time in our lives that because I was a little POS in high school, and I just thought that I was
They call that
I didn't deserve no
bag
role.
syndrome, I think is what they call that, right?
Yeah. And then
I have a dad voice that I can't duplicate unless I'm in it. I haven't done it in years, but I can get so mad that I can sound like a man.
Oh yeah.
And I had to use that dad voice. It came out a few
really
times.
low.
Yeah, it gets low.
Scared. Oh god, she scared me.
I cannot duplicate it without being in the state.
Yeah, and then I remember I went off to college and we were hugging goodbye, and literally it was like 10 minutes later I had accidentally locked my key in my dorm room, and I'm like, Mom, oh my god, I don't know what to do. And she's like, honey, you're on your own now, you got to go figure it out. So that's when I was like, okay.
It was the hardest thing not to turn around and go,
you're on your own.
I'm like, I know you're close.
Figure it out.
Figure it out. This is what college is, Lizzy. I'm not going to be there all the time.
But yeah, obviously, losing a parent is horrible and hard. But you just have to look at the bright side. It made us closer. I don't know a mother-daughter duo that is closer, and we just kind of made it the best that we could. And I feel like, I wouldn't change our relationship for anything. So
I have seen that on all your sites, all the research I've done. Yeah, I wanted to do this show because I've known Karina Deal for forever and ever and ever, similar situation. And then I come across Jane DeHaven, and I said, my God, there's more than one person out there that has had a similar situation. And it had to rock your whole world. And I said, I got to get her on the show. So
I guess I always had confidence in myself. I never thought we were going to fail. And we didn't. Now we're thriving.
I feel like that's how you are, though, in all aspects of your life. Like, now that I'm home, she even... last night we were planning all of our stuff for today. Like, we had this, and then she's like, we really need to get a TikTok up because we're going to Cabo for a wedding tomorrow. I'm like, okay, Mom, well, I don't think I can do the morning workout if I have to like do all this. She's like, oh, no. We're doing the workout. So she holds me accountable, and she's just, it's just not an option to not get things done, I guess.
And I think Lizzy, through the years, what helped Lizzy is an amazing group of friends. She went to Bishop Dwenger High School, and that was a great comfort. You had so many friends.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember at the funeral, there was such a long line, and I lost Lizzy, and I'm only 5'3". I kept trying to look over, and I could see that someone walked over to me. I don't recall who it was, and said, "She's surrounded by 100 kids." And I didn't worry from that moment. She always had a lot of kids around her, helping her. And then IU, your sorority friends, and they sort of tagged as the duo way back when. And I've been waiting for, I would say, about 12 years for her to come into this business and go ham with this DeHaven duo. So the DeHaven duo is new this year, since Lizzy started working at the dealership. And I've been dying to do it. And we're all over the billboards all over town. It's so much fun, right?
Yeah, we can't go anywhere without somebody saying they've seen the billboards. I'm like, wow, guess that's their work.
Max, what questions do you have over there?
So I know a lot of dealers struggle with succession. And I guess, Lizzy, did you ever not want to be a dealer?
So when I was in Dallas, I was doing something completely different. I was the manager and buyer for a women's clothing boutique. And
I saw that on your LinkedIn. I was like, well, that's a little different. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, thank God I landed that job because I had no idea really what I was going to do. And then, COVID happened, and the retail was really scary for us. Because then I'm like, oh my gosh, but still, I got to figure out how to make this work because I don't know what else I'm going to do here in Dallas. Like I have to keep this job. So I came up with this idea to do these quarantine boxes because obviously nobody could come into the store. So we would just put like clothes into a box, ship them out, and then if they wanted to keep any of it, they would get 40% off. And then that boutique was basically, the doors were shut for just like a month, but that those quarantine boxes paid for our entire rent for the month. But other than that, the retail, I feel like that's all I would have ever wanted to do. But I always have always wanted this dealership to keep going and keep. Well, I remember my dad when I was younger, he was kind of upset that there was no son involved. He's like, because now the DeHaven name is going to end, and worried about the dealership and whatnot. And so I feel like that always resonated with me too. I'm like, well, I can do it. So I think I always knew I was going to come back unless something crazy happened, which it didn't. So
it's always been in her blood. Don't let her fool you.
Yeah.
This is her. She was 3 years old or 4 years old, one of the two, or maybe between the two. And at school, in her preschool, it was Animal Week, right? And the teacher wanted to know if anybody knew what a vet was. And Lizzy, horseshacking it, like, call on me.
It's a Corvette.
Stephen says it's my very favorite car.
Very favorite car. Still right.
That's right. That's the right answer.
The right answer. That's what that is.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Now, Jane, let me ask you. When you started making changes in the dealership, did anybody come up to you and say, that's not the way we used to do it?
Oh, they still do. I mean, they still do. So, you're constantly making changes. There's always a better way. And there are so many nooks and crannies in the dealership between the body shop, the parts department, the service department. We just changed our entire oil change situation last week, and because we were overstating gross, to be honest. I was like, well, we don't want to do that anymore because then you're paying, it's just, you don't want to do that. But I do get some pushback, but it's about, convincing them to buy in on the thinking. And after 16 years, how long has it been? 16 years. 16 years, they're starting to buy in more easily than, say, they were 16 years ago when I was absolutely clueless and I had to fake it. And I was more or less listening to all of my managers. And I think that was also a point of success, is I listened to everybody then. Then I came up with my own, what I think makes more sense in a car dealership. And we do some things a little bit differently than others. We don't have a true F&I department. Our managers and sales team cradle to grave it, and we're not passing people into a weird office because that felt uncomfortable to me. So we do things differently, and met a little resistance there, but now they like it because it buys our managers more of a quality of life. They're not working 78 hours a week anymore because they can all do the same thing.
Jennifer, what's on your mind over there? I can see the
Well,
wheel.
I know I'm just listening and loving to hear the story. I always love, and I know we're not supposed to curse on the show, but I just always love to hear stories of badass businesswomen. And
Jane DeHaven, badass.
I mean, everything she's told us. I mean, like, I just did it. I just put my head down and I just did what had to be done. And I love that because that transition to cradle to grave is very difficult to make. And I always believe the only successful way is for the manager to be in tandem with the salesperson, right, so that we have that expertise coming through. But I love that you just said, I just thought it felt weird to go in this weird little office. It's thinking from a consumer standpoint. And if you ever watch the show, I'm always screaming about how the manufacturers and a lot of dealers are completely and totally ignoring the consumers and what they need. So I think that's a great perspective, because I've heard a lot of people argue the benefit of cradle to grave F&I, but no one has ever said it like that.
Mm-hmm. It is about the customer. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. And
I have a question too, though, Lizzy. With all these awesome things your mom has been changing, is there something you've been thinking about in the back of your head, like something you would like to do differently?
Well, the only thing is we need to start. No, this is something so silly.
Come on now, come on.
No. This is literally nothing to do with the dealership, really. My first day when I came here, I was like, well, do I need to give my accounting and routing number for for direct deposit? She's like, oh no, we still do the paper checks. And I'm like, what? Like, how? So we're moving to direct deposit. I'm like, that it's got to be. Well, yeah,
I know, weird, really weird. But Lizzy helped facilitate that.
Oh my God, this is happening.
Any day now.
Any day.
I still think a dealer should sign the checks.
I know, right? We have 2 signatures on everything. Yeah, we like that.
Well, if I'm a general manager or dealer, I want to see the physical invoice. I want to see every check that goes out of the dealership.
We're still doing that.
Routing is 2 hands off.
Yeah, that ACH stuff, and it just, especially now with the AI and all the theft, and it's just crazy.
Tell Lizzy to mind her own business.
I agree with Lizzy. I think payroll's a little different, and
payroll's different.
Payroll is a little different.
Yeah.
You can't. You go do half and half, Jennifer. Come on now.
Well, yeah, absolutely. In the dealership accounting world, payroll is handled 100% separately from accounts payable, so you can do them.
Yeah, you're right.
Remember where I started?
Lizzy, you're half right.
Yeah.
But my mom also always says, to everyone in the dealership, you were even saying this to Cruz yesterday, like the communication with everything is, the key to succeeding, because we were just communicating just even silly little things yesterday, which like one of our sales managers, he didn't know about. And it's just like, we wouldn't have known that he didn't know about this if we didn't talk about it. And so like, just the more that you talk to every single person in the dealership, I feel like it's just going to keep getting better. And that's how it is with even
Mhm.
any relationship with in your marriage, whatever. It's just if you communicate, the more you communicate, the better everything will flourish.
That's true. And information is so readily available, but if I just keep it in my head and don't share it with anybody, it's absolutely worthless, you know?
You know, Jane, when you took over, I know your husband probably had a lot of processes in place.
Mhm.
What did you change that he used to do?
Well, it's hard for me to remember back how we did things. Like I said, it was the digital age. So the websites were just becoming a big situation. And we're pretty much a leader in the digital website world. At our last 20 group, I noticed our website visits were double the group average. And if you know about 20 groups, you know everything's about group average, and you don't want to be where suck begins. You want to be way above it. And our conversions were double group average. And so I think diving.
What did you just say?
Group average is where suck begins.
Yeah, average is where sucking begins.
I created that.
You
That's
did?
my saying.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
the exact
Well,
part
look
where
at how-
suck starts.
And it ended up in my brain. And yeah, that is where it's.
I started that 35 years ago. I've got it in print. Average is the exact point where sucks starts.
It's exactly right.
And I created that at a 20 group.
That's what we say at 20 group. Group averages were. So
that is original Ziegler. I am so pleased you said that.
oh my gosh.
We also changed the whole floor plan of the store to make it better for you.
We did change the floor plan recently because we have our managers. We don't have a separate F&I area. We actually moved what would have been, Lizzy's in one of the old F&I offices, and our internet manager is back there too. And we moved all of our managers are on the floor. So all managers can see the lot and the floor from their office. It's all windows. And then all the salesmen's offices line up along the back row. So everyone's out there together. We don't have we're not hiding anybody in a back office to send the customers to feel creepy, right?
Well, that's something you need to do personally. Is you need to contract some of these customers yourself. Have you done that?
I've done it before. Yes, I try to stay.
Gross, Jim.
You know, enough. I'm dangerous. I know enough to be dangerous in our vision menu and whatnot, and I know all our products. And yeah.
Okay, so average is the exact point where suck starts. I love
Isn't that
it.
funny?
I am so happy to hear that coming back to me.
Yes. Now I want to ask a question that came because you had said when you made the comment about averages where suck starts, you said that your website, not just the traffic, but your conversion rate on your website is how much more than the 20 group?
Then group average, double. Yeah.
Very impressive.
Yeah. So we're doing well there, and we want to continue that. It's funny though, when you talk about the two of us being badass women, we're super prissy. Have you ever seen an office look like this? This is Ralph Lauren wallpaper, and we are always in our high heels, and so we can't do too much damage in these heels, can we, Lizzy?
You can. I always tell people that I'm diva-rific. Like I am
Diva-rific. That one.
I can run across the lot in 5-inch heels all day, but I will slip and trip in flats.
Oh, same. Flats are.
You girls are bonding over here. Me and Max are feeling left out.
Sorry about that. That was we digress. Sorry.
I half expected one of those guys to crack a joke about wearing 5-inch heels. To be honest.
I mean, I've tried 5/8 where I want to be, so that's what I wear.
How about your CRM? Are you good with the CRM? Have you learned?
I'm very proficient with the CRM. I'm in it every single day. Vin Solutions is who we use.
So when you're in the CRM every day, what are you doing? What are you looking for? What are you looking at? What reports are you
The very first thing I go to in the CRM every day is the previous day's store visits that weren't sold. and I look at the notes, and I ask questions about it. That's my very first move that I make with the CRM, and that can take me all morning, So, and then from there, I just look at a lot of the internet funnel reports, how many, what our closing ratios are, and what our store visits are, what our how many appointments are showing, how many appointments we're making. That's my daily routine. Then I have to move on to service. Then I have to move on to X time.
What kind of advancement opportunity is there in the dealership?
For a salesperson, say, or
yeah. Let's go. Let's start there.
Yes. Well, there's always room for advancement. I mean, I talking dangerously about getting another store.
That's what I was looking for.
And I want to get
That's what I'm looking for. Okay,
I'm building.
I wanted you to say it. I wanted you to say it. What's your expansion plans?
The right space, the right.
Are you looking?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Are you looking in Indiana, Fort Wayne, bigger?
Mm-hmm. And slightly bigger, yeah.
Okay. Jennifer, help me out with it. You got a question? I know that you're dying to ask.
I have always a lot. And I think especially you're looking at some expansion opportunities. Always think efficiencies are the most important thing. And I love that as a dealer, you are in your CRM all day, every day.
Yeah.
I sat on the Vin Solutions Dealer Advisory Board for about 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think one of the things that I always talk with people about is working with their performance manager to automate and schedule the reports to come directly to you, because it's crazy. We don't think about like, oh no, I'm just going to get in, I'm going to go to my dashboard, I'm going to click here, do this. But if you add up how many clicks and how much time all day, every day, then it can get a little bit cumbersome. And if you're going to have more than one location that you have to
I'm going to have to streamline those reports, right?
And it's so simple in Vin to set it up, and it'll automatically email to you whatever time of day you want. Standard reports, custom reports, talk to your PM. And if they don't have good solutions for you, you can tell them. Jennifer Briggs says there's a bunch of custom reporting she built for some of her dealers, and you should copy it.
Need a project for Lizzy and me to jump in together and
get better. What's on your mind over there, big guy?
So you see this all the time, especially in automotive news, when there's a rogue general manager that takes money under the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a rogue finance manager that falsifies credit apps and makes proof of income. There's a rogue parts manager that's selling parts on eBay, right? And this is happening under the nose of dealer principals that are kind of involved in day-to-day operations, right? So my question is, you come in 2008, right? I still cannot process it with my paranoid mind.
Mm-hmm.
What control system have the advantage during that vulnerable time?
During that vulnerable time, I had a great controller. She just retired last Friday. 35 years with us.
Awesome.
She was my biggest blessing. She knew everything and would alert me indirectly, kind of like the time you had the party at the lake and Heidi, the cleaning lady, alerted me.
I thought I was going to get away with it, and
I got a phone call. And but no, she was my savior. She was so amazing, and she'd been around, and nobody could pull the wool over her eyes. And I got teary last Friday, didn't I, Lizzy? And I'm going to get teary again if I start talking about the goodbye. Because we hired a great guy. We have a new guy, and we love him. And he was able to train under her for almost a month. And but without Sue Ellen, I don't think I would have made it.
There's one person in the dealership, And I don't know, do you have an automated phone system with a menu and all that?
We still have a receptionist.
I was hoping you'd say that. The receptionist knows all the dirt.
Yep, they do.
I mean, they know who's pregnant. They know who's pregnant. They know who's having an affair, who's cheating on their spouse.
Mhm.
They know everything.
And the parts cashier for the back of the house.
Yeah. The parts cashier in the back of the house and the receptionist up front. They know all the stuff.
Very important people.
All the dirt in the dirt. Jane, I see that you guys are so involved in the community. You've got so many programs, but what are you doing?
In the community?
Yeah, I see all.
She's a part of so
I
many.
don't want to say what you're going to say. Help me out.
I'm past board member, current board member on a lot of, or for a lot of organizations in Fort Wayne. Nothing paid, all volunteer on my end. If somebody asked me to do a paid board membership, I don't have time for that, but I have time to help people who need help. And this is my most proud moment of being a part of this community is how Fort Wayne, Indiana takes care of our community. We have Turnstone, which is the largest, I'm on that board currently, under one roof therapy for people with disabilities. And the theme of Turnstone is that we use our abilities and focus on our abilities, not the disabilities. And it's great. I'm sorry, I'm turning that over. And I've been very involved at Aaron's House, which is an organization for grieving children. Lots of these organizations in Fort Wayne are the first of its kind, and they've been replicated in other cities. Amani helps refugees in our community who have fled to our country and ended up in Fort Wayne. They don't speak our language. I'm a past board member there as well. And then on a broader scale for the state of Indiana, because I ooze crimson, I'm on the Indiana Athletic Board, which is called the Varsity Club for IU. And I'm also on the board of their main collective, NIL collective, which is a big deal. And
I knew some of that.
Yeah, Hoosiers for Good. And then for 30 some years, I've been heavily involved with the planning of I'm on the steering committee for the Vera Bradley Foundation for Breast Cancer, which all of our money goes directly to the IU Cancer Center in Indianapolis. We've raised, is it $50 million? I don't know, $50 million, something like that, to help correct and stop breast cancer forever. Those are just a few things. I'm just touching the surface there. And those are that's what I think I wish more dealers would get involved with their communities, because it's our community. Our community is keeping us going, and I want to keep the community going.
Now, Lizzy, we got 2 minutes left. What have we not told people about your mom and the way DeHaven Chevrolet is operating? What have we not told people that really should be told?
What should we tell them?
I didn't get mad when Lizzy was our biggest body shop customer when she turned 16. I quoted in my Lizzy. I was we need body shop work. What's the problem, guys? I mean,
oh my gosh.
It was a training opportunity, Lizzy. Just I just wanted to make sure you guys were
body shop's a little slow. She's helping us out. But your demos did get kind of that after the third little fender bender. It's this is what you're going to drive now until you get this under control.
Then I got shafted on the demos.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, there's nothing really else to say besides the fact that I've never met a person more amazing, and I just strive to be exactly like her as a leader, as a mom, in all aspects of life. So,
oh wow,
here we start.
I'll tell you what. I wish we'd have adopted one like you.
Right. She looks just like her dad. Her name should have been Jackie. And he had a larger in life personality, and Lizzy has the same.
How many generations is the dealership? Was he the first?
No, he was the second. Lizzy's the third. And this is our 60th anniversary. We just had it in May. It was May 12th.
60 years. My gosh.
60 years.
Okay, guys. Well, we have burned an hour, and I wanted to get to know you guys. I saw your story online, and I wanted Max and Jennifer to share it with us. Everybody, wave goodbye to the audience. Wave goodbyes.